Hello and welcome back. My name is Wallace Smedley and I'm continuing this series of videos trying to answer some questions that it would take me much too much time to answer in a written article format. This week I'm going to be talking about some different methods that you can use when you're working with young people. You know, there's a debate that goes on in martial arts almost constantly about whether or not we should be teaching kids. And speaking as a person who works almost exclusively with children in the martial arts, I'm going to go ahead and field this one. I'll give you a bit of background. I work for the Kickstart Kids organization. We teach a PE credit elective class to children in inner city schools throughout the state of Texas, and we try to instill positive character strengths through our the value lessons that we bring to the class, as well as just teaching kids a lot about being a resilient human being and developing inner strength through the martial arts. And in communication with people that have followed my website and read my articles and so on, there have been a lot of questions about different methods of working with kids. And I'm just going to give a few quick pointers on what I find to be the most successful way to reach kids and to help bring out the best in what they're able to do. First one, I say, learn to catch them doing it right. It is so easy to catch, and I don't care what it is that you're teaching, it's easy to catch them doing it wrong. No matter the subject, especially when you take something like what I do in martial arts, you bring a beginner in there, they're going to be doing a whole lot of things wrong, and it's so easy to find everything that they're doing wrong. But if you're able to teach yourself to catch them doing it right and tell them by name, hey, John, you got it exactly right. I'm proud of you. That's exactly how I want to see it every single time. That reinforces in a positive way the correct way to do it. Whereas if you're constantly telling them that they're doing it wrong, things start to happen inside their head. They start to view you in a negative way. Once they view you in a negative way, the learning centers of the brain start to shut down every time you come around because you become a source of stress to them, and that's not any good at all. So you want to make sure that you learn to catch them doing it right. Second thing that I would point out, I would say, remember that they're kids. If you think back to when you were a kid, you were probably impulsive, just like every single one of the kids that I work with are. You do things without thought. You do things that sometimes an adult will look at and say, that was kind of dumb. Well, they're kids. They don't have 40, 50 years of life experience behind them to let them know what are good decisions and what are bad decisions. We are there to try to help, but we've got to kind of guide them along. But remember that they're kids, and don't try to treat them as if they're just short adults. I know that's the easy road, but they're still kids, and they don't have the life experience necessary to make all the correct decisions every single time. With kids, you've got to be able to forgive. When they mess up and they do something monumentally ignorant, you have to be able to move on past it, say, look, you messed up, let's just go ahead and go on. Today's a new day, and we're going to move ahead. So remember that they're kids. And one of the things that is very hard to teach kids, and I'll grant that, but if you can constantly remind them, the journey is the goal. The path, what you're doing to get where you want to be, is part and parcel of your goal. It is what you're trying to accomplish. The victory is going to be found in the training, not necessarily the day of. When we talk about something like what I'm teaching with these kids is sport karate. Sport karate is very subjective. When they stand up to perform their kata in a tournament, the judge will like their performance or the judge will not. It's not in their control. All they can do is practice. And so if you teach them that the practice is where you're winning, then you're going to get them miles ahead of where they need to be. And so then it becomes a situation of the goal at the end is not all that they're focused on. They're focused on right now, let's do this right, let's do it the way that it needs to be done, so that in the end, they look back on this wonderful journey rather than just a disappointment if they manage to fall short of the ultimate goal that they had and not be able to look back and see everything that they've been able to accomplish along the way. Another thing that you have to do with kids, you've got to give them clear expectations. If they don't know what it is that you're looking for from them, they're going to be nervous. When they're nervous, survival centers of the brain kick in. Again, they stop learning. You got to make clear exactly, this is what I want you to do. For example, with my students, they are taught they have to bow as soon as they enter the training room. So they stop at the door and they bow. Sometimes they're a little bit embarrassed about this because we're in a public school. Sometimes their friends can see them as they're coming into the room. At the very beginning, you set that clear expectation. This is how we're doing it. You're going to do it every day. It doesn't matter that people see you. People see me doing it all the time. And I share with them a story about one time where at the end of the day, we had a tournament, and I have to bow as I step in and out of every single ring. And I was directing the tournament, and so I was doing a lot of bowing. I got home from a tournament, opened the front door to my house. I stopped and I bowed before I walked in the house. My wife thought I was crazy, but it happens, and it just reaches a point where it doesn't matter. It's just something that's done. But you get those expectations set out clearly to where the kids know what's expected. Then they feel safe doing it. They feel safe in the room, and they feel safe with the process. And that is so important, because when they feel safe, the learning centers of the brain come online, and they're going to be so much better off. And the last thing that I want to point out, enforce the rules. You can't have rules that you enforce for some of the kids, and then other kids, you're like, well, that's a good kid. They can go ahead and talk out of turn if they want to. You need to enforce those rules across the board. It has to apply the same to every single person in the room, no matter what. So just make sure that you're doing those things, and you're going to be miles ahead, okay? So, quick recap. Catch them doing it right. Remember that they're kids. Try to teach them that the journey is the goal. Have clear expectations, and enforce the rules. It doesn't matter if you're teaching math or if you're coaching Little League. So those 5 points are going to help you a whole lot. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.